You're someone who values understanding the forces shaping our world, right?
Hmm.
Especially when it comes to developing future generations.
Yeah, you want to get to the heart of it quickly and thoroughly.
Exactly. And that's what we aim for here. So let's dive straight in.
Okay.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into the core principles and the enduring vision behind the Scout movement in Pakistan.
And we've got a really compelling set of voices to guide us. Messages from Pakistan's current president and prime minister.
Yeah.
That gives us the contemporary view.
Right, the now.
But also, crucially, we have insights from the founder himself, Lord Baden-Powell. And the vision Pakistan's founder, Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, laid out right at the start.
It's a fascinating mix, isn't it? History and the present day.
Definitely.
So our mission today, it's really to distill those essential ideals, the goals of Scouting, as these key figures saw them, specifically, in the Pakistani context.
Makes sense. Where should we begin?
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. His address back at the investiture ceremony in 1947. A huge moment.
Yeah, the birth of the nation. And what immediately strikes you, I think, is his pretty sober assessment of the world.
How so?
Well, he calls it far from perfect.
Yeah.
He even suggests it runs on the law of the jungle. That's quite a stark view.
It is, and it really underlines the urgency he felt about instilling strong values in young people.
Exactly. This wasn't just about, tying knots or camping for him.
No, not at all. He saw Scouting playing this fundamental role, building character.
On multiple levels, too. Physical, mental, spiritual.
Right, with the clear goal of creating what he called well-disciplined, useful, and good citizens, is a very holistic idea.
And that phrase he uses, catch 'em young.
Yeah.
It's so direct.
Powerful, yeah. He clearly believed in that formative power of youth.
And he links it straight away to the ethical core, doesn't he? The motto, service before self and purity in thought, word, and deed.
It's concise, but wow, it covers a lot, a whole ethical framework right there.
It really is. And what's interesting is how he connects those individual virtues to something much bigger, a societal ambition.
Yeah, tell me more about that.
He believed that if young people could learn to, befriend everyone, help others, put the group first.
And reject violence.
Right. Then, he actually says, universal brotherhood will be possible. That's a huge aspiration for the movement.
That's profound. Okay, so now if we turn to Lord Baden-Powell's message, his parting word of goodbye, it feels a bit different, maybe more personal.
Yeah, definitely more personal, maybe more philosophical even. But you still see those links, those connections to character and contribution.
There's a real sense of reflection. He starts by saying he had a most happy life and wishes that for everyone.
But it's interesting what he says doesn't lead to happiness.
Right. Not just money or career success on its own or self-indulgence.
Exactly. His path to contentment is more integrated, maybe.
How do you mean?
Well, his advice is about being healthy and strong so you can be useful, enjoying
right.
nature, being content, looking on the bright side.
Okay.
And crucially, this bit, the real way to get happiness is by giving out happiness to other people. It sort of flips the usual script.
That really echoes Jinnah's focus on service, doesn't it?
It does. And Baden-Powell gives this really practical advice. Try and leave this world a little better than you found it.
Simple, but it carries so much weight, that sense of personal responsibility.
Indeed. And even here, in this farewell, he links back to the Scout promise. His final, be prepared. It's not just for camping trips.
No, he frames it as being prepared for life, for living well, and even facing death peacefully if you've lived by those values.
It's quite deep when you think about it that way.
Okay, so let's jump forward to a contemporary view now. President Asif Ali Zardari's message, this was for World Scout Day 2025.
Right, and he clearly sees Scouting as a vital ongoing force in Pakistan, empowering youth, shaping character.
He describes it as more than just an activity, right? A way of life.
Exactly. Something that actively builds discipline and resilience.
Yeah.
And the scale he mentions.
Right.
Over 1 million scouts in the Pakistan Boy Scouts Association, the PBSA.
Wow, over 1 million. That really shows the potential reach, the potential impact.
It does. And he points to the upcoming 15th National Jamboree in April 2025 as a big moment.
An opportunity to reinforce those core ideas. Discipline, readiness.
Unity, harmony, and making a real contribution to society.
Yeah.
Yes, he actually says scouts should be the leaders of change.
Leaders of change. And he brings it back to that central idea again. At its core, Scouting is about service.
And this ties into how these ideals work in practice today. The president calls on scouts to have strong morals, civic responsibility.
Pointing to practical roles.
Yeah, like disaster relief, environmental work, promoting education. There's a clear expectation that they'll be actively involved in the nation's life.
So that motto, be prepared, it takes on this broader meaning.
Absolutely. It's not just about gear. It's a mindset. Being ready to serve, whether it's a crisis or just everyday life.
And he encourages specific actions, too, like tree planting, literacy drives, things that build a greener, more inclusive and progressive Pakistan.
And notice the emphasis on interpersonal skills as well. Empathy, adaptability, respect, teamwork.
The soft skills, which are so crucial.
Exactly. Qualities for good scouts, yes, but also for engaged citizens and future leaders. His faith in the youth at the end really sums up the whole purpose.
Okay, and finally, let's bring in Prime Minister Mian Mohammad Shahbaz Sharif. His message was around Founders Day.
Right, and he also pays tribute to Baden-Powell's legacy, acknowledges the PBSA's progress, especially looking towards that same National Jamboree.
He mentioned something about international links, too.
Yes, PBSA's Vision 2030 and their work with the Asia-Pacific region of the World Scout Bureau. It highlights that international connection, sharing ideas, positions Pakistan as part of the global movement.
And again, that emphasis on the invaluable role of trained scouts. Peacetime, crisis time, it always comes back to be prepared.
It does. And he even quotes Quaid-e-Azam directly about starting with the individual, instilling the scout motto, showing how relevant that original vision still is.
That's a strong link back to the beginning.
What I found particularly interesting in the PM's message was his focus on needing dynamic and engaging programs.
Meaning?
Well, recognizing that you need activities that really challenge young people, spark initiative, build character. It can't just be theory.
Makes sense. You need the action part.
And he points to the Messengers of Peace initiative as an example.
Yeah.
A platform for promoting unity, harmony, social impact.
Yeah.
Encouraging that idea of global citizenship.
Right. Putting the principles into practice.
Exactly. And his final hope, for the movement to keep flourishing in Pakistan, inspiring youth to embrace the values and serve. It ties everything together neatly.
So as we kind of pull these threads together, what really stands out?
Well, the consistency is remarkable, isn't it? Across different eras, different leaders, this focus on service, character building, the importance of youth.
Yeah, and the idea of scouts as future leaders keeps coming up.
Definitely. And the scout motto, be prepared and service before self. It's like the bedrock under everything. It's amazing how those short phrases contain so much philosophy.
It really is. Taking these historical and current perspectives together gives you, I think, a really clear picture of the Scout movement's values and mission in Pakistan.
Precisely. We see how those foundations laid by Baden-Powell and Jinnah are still very much alive, championed by today's leadership. Hopefully for you listening, this gives a concise but a thorough sense of why this movement matters so much there.
And that brings us to a final thought, something for you to ponder.
Okay.
Reflecting on these core ideals, service, preparedness, character, how might these scouting principles apply to challenges you see today, maybe in your own life or, in your community?
That's a good question to leave people with. Applying it personally.
Yeah, just something to think about.